Well, greetings, Cap fans, and welcome to episode 248 of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast. I'm Rick Verbonis, and I'm your host, and I've got a co-host out there. He's kind of like, he's not too bad. His name is Bob Lucius. Oh, Bob, I've been in this town so long to the city, I'm fit with the stuff to ride in the rough, and sunny down snuff, I'm all right. By the heroes and villains. Just see what you've done, heroes and villains. Just see what you've done.
Sounds familiar.
Oh yeah,
It's ringing a bell.
oh, yeah.
Heroes and villains. It's a song, isn't it?
It is a song.
Yeah. Heroes and villains. Did the Beach Boys do a cover of that?
The Beach Boys wrote that.
Ah, yes.
Yeah,
All
it was a
right.
Beach Boys song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was from 1967,
Mm-hmm.
and it got all the way up to number 12 on Billboard's
Mm-hmm.
Hot 100
All right.
back in 1967. It was kind of during their psychedelic
Ah,
phase.
yeah.
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 Um, so Bob, why am I greeting you with a Beach Boys song?
Well, there is a reference to Beach Boys in this issue.
There is,
Well aware
yeah,
of that.
yeah,
Uh,
yep, and also to honor Brian Wilson, right?
yes.
So I know when people are listening to this episode, if they're listening to it when it first comes out, Brian Wilson had probably passed 4 or 5 weeks ago. But this is when we're recording it, so we do want to pay a little homage to Brian Wilson, who was a musical legend.
Yes, indeed, just passed away. Our time, and you a Beach Boys fan, right?
I liked Beach Boys. I mean, I can't say I own a whole lot in my personal
Yeah.
collection,
Okay.
um, but there's I I actually like one of their later songs a whole heck of a lot.
Tell me it's not from that movie.
Cocktail.
Yeah.
It totally is.
Is a was it Elizabeth
Aruba,
Shue? Yeah.
Jamaica.
Yeah, of course.
Ooh, I wanna take you.
Kokomo, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
How about you?
Yeah, I grew up on Beach Boys. I have three older brothers. The middle one of the three, my brother Paul, was a ginormous Beach Boys fan,
Mm.
and so he had every Beach Boys album. And so I used to sneak down there, put his LPs on the record player,
Hmm.
and just jam out to those tasty wave songs.
Don't
So
scratch my records, Bobby.
indeed, yeah, I was Robbie at the time,
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah. But yeah, man, whenever I hear a Beach Boys song, it definitely takes me back.
I mean, they were right up there. I mean, they were an American treasure, and
Yeah,
uh, they were like the answer to the British invasion at the time.
yeah,
And man, hit after hit after hit. And Brian Wilson was the brains, really, the behind that
yeah,
group. He
right.
wrote so much of those songs. So um,
I do a I do an assignment in my class every semester where I ask them to write about a place that's special to them.
hmm
It can be anywhere, place you grew up, place you visited, place you go, during the day, maybe where you work, relax, whatever. And I always tell them that like it doesn't have to be someplace grandiose. And I always mention the Beach Boys song in my room because
mm,
at least 4 or 5 students every semester write about their room, their bedroom, whether it's their
hmm
dorm room or their room, in their home where their parents live. Your bedroom for a lot of people is their sanctuary. So that
yeah.
song always, I'm like, even back in the 60s, dudes, dudettes,
hmm
every generation feels the same way. So,
Gotta tell you, kind of like the Bangles version better.
do you like the Bengals version
The
better?
Bangles.
Yeah, I know the Bengals. Yeah.
Yeah, Walk Like an
Okay.
Egyptian band.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
right,
They
right.
do a
Yeah,
really
yeah.
great version
Do they?
of yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I'll have to check that out.
yeah.
All right.
And it's a little bit means a little bit something else when Susanna Hoffs is
Yeah.
singing those lyrics. But
I got to tell you, I,
in my
after
room,
not too much information, I get a little twinge when she does Manic Monday.
oh my god,
Yeah, you know what I'm
I
saying.
had the biggest crush on her for the longest time. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Uh,
gotta like check when I'm like that one comes on the radio in the car, I gotta like slow down because my foot I'm like, whoa, I'm starting to go too fast.
Do you remember when Austin Powers those movies first came out? She did a song with them.
Did she really?
Yeah, she and she was dressed up as like a, you know, a 60s kind of chick
Uh-huh.
at the time, and
All right.
you know, yeah.
Huh.
Susanna Hoff.
Yeah, another
One of my earlier crushes for
right.
sure.
Yeah. Oh.
Uh, well, you know, getting back to our listeners, if they're listening when this comes out, which is July 9th. July 9th. Wow. Um, a few days from now, Tom Palmer will be celebrating a birthday. Bob, are you familiar with Tom Palmer?
I love his drink. Yeah, it's like a
Yeah, no,
half
that's
ice, half
Arnie
half.
Palmer.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
Arnold
yeah,
Palmer.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's Tom's drink?
I don't know.
No.
He and I hadn't talked about that. Maybe we'll have him on for a nightcap, and we'll figure that out. No, Tom Palmer is a long time inker. Gosh, he is legendary. He's done um like 850 different stories. So he's been around for a long time, and he's no stranger to Cap. Not only he was a Steve Epting's inker in the '90s,
Mm,
but before that, he had a tremendously long run on Avengers um, as well. He did a bunch in the '70s and '80s, but Captain America, he's one of those guys that worked on so many different Captain America volumes. All right. So he did, and this is all inking. Okay.
uh,
He did Captain America 113, right? And that's Steranko.
yeah, long time
Okay.
ago.
So he did that in 1969. And then he did 135 in 1970. Then skip to 1999, and he did an issue in volume three. Then skip to 2003. He did that four part that we did, Captain America Lives Again.
Okay.
Yeah, we covered it on
Yeah.
here.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
And so that was volume four.
Yeah.
Then he comes back in volume five. No, volume six. Sorry. Um, actually, no, I'm getting these mixed up. Volume seven in 2013, he does several issues of the John Romita Jr., you know, art. He
Right.
inks that.
Yeah.
Then in he also even did Captain America and the Falcon. He inked Bart Sears. He inked um, in the Captain America Black Panther Flags of Our Fathers.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
He did the Captain America Nick Fury Blood Truce story.
Okay.
I mean, talk about like he had been involved with so many different Captain America volumes over the years. So
Right.
if you don't
Wow.
know who Tom Palmer is, shame on you. He is a legend in the industry.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. That's impressive. That's an impressive body of work right there.
It is for sure. Um, uh, Bob, I can't help but notice something.
What is that?
We're wearing the same shirt.
It is. That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
Not at all coordinated.
not at all.
Yeah.
Twinsies.
Twinsies. Yeah.
And for those who are watching the show, okay, I'm Rick. He's Bob. I know it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
tell,
Yeah.
you know, because of the shirts and all.
I'm the one with the tan.
I'm the one
It
with the
helps.
rugged hairline.
Oh, and I think you said one of your children gave you that shirt, and I gave this one to myself. So, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So
oh,
similar.
yeah.
Yeah.
Both both were
Both
done by kids.
both were gifted by children. Yeah,
Yeah.
gifted children. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a cool issue today. We're going to get into continue the run of Cap becoming Nomad. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
last issue, or for this story, the coming of Nomad. was in issue 180, and we covered that. If you didn't listen to that episode, make sure you go back to listen to episode 244 because we cover it panel by panel, and you get to see Steve eventually take the moniker as well as the uniform of this new costume fighting identity called the Nomad.
Mm.
And so we are continuing that today with episode, I'm sorry, issue 181.
This has been a great story so far, and I think it's definitely going to get better here.
It is getting interesting. So, the release date of this was October 10th, 1974. It had a cover date of January 1975. And the creators are same ones we've had before, right? So, we have writer Steve Englehart. And if you haven't checked out our interview with Steve Englehart, you definitely need to do that. Penciled by Sal Buscema, inked by Vinnie Coletta, colorist Linda Lessman, letterer Artie Simic, and editor Roy Thomas. Also, somebody we interviewed on the show. Um, and this is also a bittersweet issue when it comes to Sal Buscema. He has had a 3-year run on this story, on this series, I should say. And he actually was on the book before Steve Englehart came on. But he has been doing so many different stories at the same time. He did so many in each month. He is taking a break from Captain America after 3 years. So enjoy this art while you can.
Rick, I got to tell you, every time, and you've said her name a couple times, Linda Lessman,
Yes, I
right?
know.
I think of Les Nessman.
Yeah, yeah. We we've talked about
We
that
did
before.
we?
Oh
Did we?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know. I brought it up. I was like,
All
because
right.
it's L. Lessman,
Lessman. Yeah.
right?
All
So you
right.
think of Les Lessman,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's L. Lessman.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. Because in the comic itself, underneath the credits, it's just I think it's just L. Period Lessman.
Right. Yeah. Good man. He's a good
Oh,
man.
the humanity.
Yeah.
Bob, do you want to take the listeners through the cover? Lots going on.
Sure. Yeah. It's a busy and a confusing cover, Rick. For anybody who maybe has been following along, but especially if you haven't been reading this series and you saw this cover on the newsstand, you might be confused to who these people are. So we have a brawl going on, and it looks like Captain America is going to town on the eel with Cobra not far behind, and it looks like Minion from Megamind is laying on the floor. No, hold on, nope, that's Krang. Sorry, I get him confused with Minion. Do you remember Minion?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
from
The movie.
Megamind. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That
no,
was
no,
who
not
did
the
the
movie.
voice of?
Well, Megamind, right?
Yeah, who did the movie Megamind?
So
Who?
Will Ferrell was
Will
Megamind,
Ferrell. Yeah,
but
yeah.
but David Cross was Minion, the fish in the tank, the bowl
Ah,
on
yes.
on the sort of the robotic body. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
Krang always reminds me of Minion. They're both aquatic. So we've got this going on, and Cap is like he apparently has just knocked out Krang. He's just walloped Eel, and Cobra is coming up behind him. But in the background, we see Falcon and we see Nomad.
Mm-hmm.
So it begs the question: who the heck is this guy battling it out with the Serpent Squad here? So it's confusing. And of course, the Captain America, whoever this might be character, is saying, out of the way, out of my way, you cheap hoods. You don't stand a chance against the new Captain America. And Falcon, he's chastising Nomad here, and he's saying, stay back, Nomad. You had your chance to be Captain America. Now it's his turn. So what the heck, Rick?
I know that's it is. It does suck you in. It's like, wait a minute. There's a new Captain America. I gotta pick up this one,
Yeah, this is a collectible.
right? Yep. And when it says new, it's like 3 times the size of the font before it and bold red, so it really pops out. All right, so we open up and we get to the opening splash page, and wow, This is a stunning image, right?
It
Because
is.
where is Steve Rogers?
Well, he's at the Lincoln Memorial.
Right.
Yeah, in Washington D.C.
And so there's Steve Rogers in his nomad costume standing in front of the Lincoln Memorial where Abraham Lincoln is sitting in a chair looking very stoic and in a the large carved granite statue. And the title to this one, Bob,
The Mark of Madness.
is in quotes. I have never had a feeling, politically, that did not spring from the sentiments embodied in the Declaration of Independence. What constitutes the bulwark of our own liberty and independence? It is not our frowning battlements, our bristling seacoasts, our army and our navy. These are not our reliance against tyranny. All of those may be turned against us without making us weaker for the struggle. Our reliance is in the love of liberty which God has planted in us. Our defense is in the spirit which prized liberty as the heritage of all men in all lands everywhere. Destroy this spirit, and you have planted the seeds of despotism at your own doors. Familiarize yourselves with the chains of bondage, and you prepare your own limbs to wear them. Accustomed to trample on the rights of others, you have lost the genius of your own independence and become fit subjects of the first cunning tyrant who rises among you. End quote. Abraham Lincoln said all that, but Steve Rogers, once called Captain America, now called Nomad, has often thought the same. He is thinking it now, here in Washington's Lincoln Memorial, which is why he's oblivious to this. And we see a shadow and we see a bit of an arm with a gold wristband. And we turn the page and we see Cap continue to be lost in thought. Lincoln. Why did he sound so eloquent when everyone today sounds so forced? Why did our forefathers seem to understand America more clearly than we do now? We've been through so much, and yet, and he turns very suddenly, someone behind me. It's the Submariner. Gently, Nomad. I wish no quarrel with you. It's only information I desire. Now, who is the Submariner, Bob?
He's the king of Atlantis, right? Formerly the Prince of Atlantis, and yeah, Namor the Submariner. It used to be a close friend of Steve Rogers, Captain America, during World War II, where they served on the Invaders together. And of course, when Steve was lost to the ice, and Namor for a time was lost to his madness, uh, but since then he's regained his memories, and Steve's been thawed. So they have reconnected, I think, before this occasion, but not in the Nomad garb.
Speaking of garb, what would you describe Namor's costume that he is wearing right now?
Yeah, so he's got so this is the most recent incarnation of Namor's costume. I think he's had it for a few years at this point. But he's got black trousers on, and he's got a, I don't know what they call that type of shirt, but anyway, it's a black shirt, but it is open from the neck all the way down to the waistline, exposing the center of his chest. And he's got golden expandable wings that attach under his arms and to the sides of his torso. He's got those golden bracelets, as you mentioned, but he's also got a golden belt with the Poseidon's trident impressed upon it.
Yeah, the outfit that he's wearing, kind of, he and Nomad's got something similar going on here, right?
That's
I
right.
mean,
That's a
I
good
mean,
point. Yeah,
they have in the center of their body and their torso, it
yeah.
is wide open, so you see their chests and their abs.
I think Avengers is kind of a 70s thing, wasn't
I mean, and they're both wearing similar colors,
it, Rick? Uh huh.
and they're just it is the belt. Each has a belt like that.
Similar
It
belt. Yep.
yeah, it is a little ridiculous. And Steve thinks to himself, he doesn't recognize me. But then, why should he? No one knows I was Captain America. But what's this about a quarrel? It's not by choice that I tread the surface world once again, American, and I'll spend as little time here as possible. You have but to tell me, where is Warlord Krang? Krang? Never heard of him, Namor. What makes you think I'd. Bah! I have no time to waste. And he charges him. Hey! And Steve jumps over him. You surface crawlers always try to treat me as if I were a fool, but acrobatics will not save you from my wrath. Mister, they should put you in a cage. And as he lands, he does a back uh, kick with his two legs, throwing uh, Namor pretty far.
Yeah. It's a big whoop.
It's a mighty blow delivered with all his strength by one who knows well the near limitless power of the Atlantean. Yet the Submariner is not slowed. There's much you must learn, Nomad, for if you wish to survive this path of adventure upon which you have set your feet, you must recognize your betters. And then the two of them go charging at each other, and they hit together, and it makes a big noise.
It does. Balam.
And I'm going to go out on a limb here,
Yeah.
and I'm going to say this was Sal Buscema's favorite panel to draw in the book.
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
seems like it probably took him like, 60
He,
seconds.
he knocked that one out pretty quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a big old starburst. And of course, uh, when you've got someone with the power of Namor going up against even someone with the strength of a super soldier, uh, the super soldier is going to lose. And Steve goes flying back. Understand? You are extraordinarily vigorous for a surface man, but you are nothing to me. Mine is the power of the sea themselves. We turn the page, and Namor tackles Steve. And mine is the power which shall prevail. Ugh, like a pile driver. Ease up, Namor. Give me a chance. A chance for more deception? And he takes him, and they go into where the Washington Monument is, in the
The
what's the?
reflecting pool.
That's what it's called. Okay.
Yeah, the reflecting pool. Yeah.
Krang came here to join his allies in infamy, the so-called Serpent Squad, and you, popping up from nowhere, engaged in battle with them. You must know something. And when did that happen, Bob?
That was in the last issue.
And no fledgling superhero can defy the true Submariner. Now speak the truth or else. And he cocks his fist back. Namor, you turkey, that's what I've been trying to do. But you're just as hot headed now as when we battled for the evil eye in Japan. What? When was that, Bob?
That was recorded in chapter 8 of the classic Avengers Defenders Clash in Avengers 117.
That's right. You guessed it. You've known me since 1941 as Captain America, so my credit should be good when I say I have never met your friend. So, then I was hasty in my judgment, and Krang has not yet contacted the Serpent Squad. But he will. And Steve thinks to himself, he's not even interested in me. So we turn the next page is going back to the scene where we left off in the last issue. And who is in the room, Bob?
Well, we've got Warlord Krang with his fishbowl helmet. We've got Cobra. We've got Princess Python, the eel, and we have the new Viper, formerly Madam Hydra. And then we have a businessman the CEO of Roxxon Corporation, who I think we met last issue.
We did when he was kidnapped by the new Serpent Squad. So the Serpent Squad, if you didn't listen to the last episode we covered this issue, um, the essentially you have previously a villain known as Viper, who was an ad executive. He had been captured and arrested, and he was being traveled to go testify somewhere. His brother is the Eel, who is a villain who has a suit that gives him like electrical powers. Um, and so Madam Hydra decided to take over the Serpent Squad. So she, along the way, stopped the Viper in the car that he was being traveled in, killed the officers, and then killed Viper, and then took Viper's suit, which somehow now magically fits her very well. And uh, Princess Python, who I don't think she's just a human who controls a gigantic python, breaks Eel and the Cobra out of prison. And so now the four of them are the Serpent Squad, and then they are teaming up with this Krang villain. Did I get that all right?
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
So there they are in their warehouse, and it says, actually, Namor, the truth of the matter is that Krang has just contacted his allies, and it's a meeting we don't want to miss. All is in readiness, I see. Yes, Krang. After sloughing off my previous identity of Madam Hydra, like a snake sheds her skin, I became the new Viper and rebuilt the Serpent Squad with Princess Python, the Eel, and the Cobra. Despite a run in with someone called the Nomad, we had little difficulty in kidnapping our prize. When did that happen, Bob?
That was last issue.
The president of the world's largest oil conglomerate, soon to be our willing pawn. For I have brought that which holds power no brain can withstand, the symbol of the reborn Serpent Squad. And then he pulls out this crown made of green snakes, the seven-headed serpent crown of lost Lemuria. Know you, Mr. Executive, that anyone who dons the sinister headpiece becomes thralls of the incredibly ancient, incredibly evil intelligence within. No, no. Viper, you're a woman. You wouldn't, you couldn't let this happen. Pig, you think my sex makes me soft? You are wrong, Mr. Executive. I am the hardest person you will ever encounter. There's a close up on Viper's face with her one evil eye glinting at him. Even I, a warlord of fair Atlantis, cannot claim to be her equal. For that very reason, I was directed to her ally myself with her, by the crown. Scarcely 3 weeks passed. I was released from ignoble imprisonment. When did that happen, Bob?
That was in Submariner number 33.
Without a backward glance, I departed Atlantis to wander the endless emerald seas, until at the base of a deep and darkling chasm, I came upon it. And he comes up, he's swimming in the water, and he comes across this crown that's on at the bottom. Perhaps I should say I was led to it, for it was rumored that accursed Namor had buried it years before. Yet there it lay, and seemingly called to me. I could not restrain myself, nor did I wish to. I placed the ominous bauble atop my noble brow, and my brain exploded in divisions. From far away, I felt an alien mind touch mine. An inhuman voice gibbered in my thoughts, commanding me to seek out one unknown to me, then Madam Hydra. Directions were given me and a plan, As if I had known the route all my life, I journeyed to her place of concealment to offer her a part in the crown's great scheme. She accepted. Thus her revival of the moribund serpent squad. Thus her kidnap of you. Thus your coming conversion to our cause, Mr. Executive. Prepare yourself. This, the man you are, will soon be no more. And the look of horror on the executive's face as the crown is about to be put on his head. On the next page, it reads, the sight of Mr. Executive's face changing as the serpent crown steals his sentience is too gruesome to behold. So we'll now charge ahead 20 minutes. And we see Nomad and Namor sitting at the Lincoln Memorial having a conversation. Never should have released Krang, but my association with the Defenders was mellowing me. Captain Nomad. Listen, Namor, do you realize we've been talking for almost a half an hour and you haven't once asked me why I've changed? You sound annoyed. Why? Everything changes in this life. My costume, your president. If you dwelt in the depths as I do, you would know that currents always shift, and you'd cease to be unduly impressed by such things. I am certain you had your reasons. Hold! That automobile's radio. And parked on the street near them, you can hear the radio blasting. And coming from the radio, this this is Warlord Krang of the Serpent Squad speaking. We claim responsibility for last night's kidnapping of the president of Roxxon Oil. Hear his words. Attention, all Roxxon employees. My captors tell me I will not be harmed if you do nothing to thwart their plans. Within 24 hours, further details will be made. I implore you to meet them. And we see the face of the executive with the crown on his head. Bob, how would you describe that face?
Like it's like the life has been sucked out of him, right? It's pale and gaunt, and he's got like a sunken expression on his face, and his eyes are he has like pinpoint pupils in his eyes. It almost looks like he's grown a couple fangs too, a couple serpent fangs. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what's going on there, but he's certainly not the man he was.
What do you think of changes like that, Amor? That voice. I've heard men, yes, and even the Lady Dorma, speak in such tones. I could never forget. That man is under the spell of the serpent. Krang must somehow have uncovered the crown of Lemuria, the land lost to the Pacific, even as Atlantis is lost to the Atlantic. And that, Nomad, bodes disaster. Then follow me, subby. I've got an idea. And they take off. All right, we get to the next page, and the Nomad is inside a phone booth, Bob.
Ma Bell.
The Nomad asks Namor one question then, and 2 minutes later, that's right, Colonel Fury personally. This is Avengers priority. Check my voice print. Nobody there knows the name Nomad, but Captain America's clearance was shot during the Secret Empire thing. And who do we see, Bob?
Well, it is indeed Colonel Fury and Dum Dum Dugan.
Yeah, and Nick is sitting down with a little head comm on, and he's chomping at a lit cigar, and he seems to be at like kind of a I don't know, a dark room with a whole bunch of radio equipment around him. Who? Oh, it's you, Cap, or whoever you are these days. Oil drilling platforms near Atlantis? Heck no. The submarine would kick us ruckus for sure. It's not allowed. Lemuria. Let me check. And then after his conversation with Nick, it fits, Namor. As I suspected, Roxxon has a rig close by the site you named as Lemuria's. Then we must hurry. Swiftly, the Atlantean leads his surface born benefactor to a small undersea craft, moored in the shadows of the Potomac. I brought this vessel because it's faster than I, yet will serve equally as well to carry us on to Lemuria. The connection between the warlord Krang, the crown of Lemuria, and that self-same sinister land raises many questions, and there, in that sunken realm, shall we find the answers. So we turn the page, and we are seeing Sharon Carter. Bob, what's Sharon wearing?
Wow, she's wearing it looks to be some sort of pink dress, Rick, floral print.
Mm-hmm. And she's got a plunging neckline just
She
as
does.
well.
It is the 70s.
Meanwhile, not so very far away, and she's knocking on the door. And answering looks to be some sort of butler. Middle aged, well, probably not middle aged. I'd say maybe senior aged.
Yeah, not like us. Yeah. Yeah, he's older.
Oh, totally older.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Well, bless my soul. It's Miss Sharon. Hi, Smithers. Hope you didn't mind my knocking this late, but I remember how devoted you are to guarding the gates. Even though I grew up in this rambling old mansion, I just wouldn't feel right walking in without letting you know. Thank you, Miss Sharon. You treat an old man well. Actually, Smithers, it's a young man I've come to treat. All right.
Okay.
Well, it is. You know, it is the
Whatever.
70s, right?
Yeah,
Well,
that's right. Free love and all.
Steve and I had an argument before he came here to visit, but I've come to make up. Where is he? Oh, I'm sorry. He's not at home just now, Miss Sharon. It seems he left without my seeing him, sometime early this evening. If I may say so, he is a very peculiar young man. And then we see a close up on Sharon's eyes and and I would say a frown comes
She
over
she
them.
she definitely has the eyes narrowed and the nostrils flared.
Hmm.
Hey Rick, what is it about Butler's name Smithers? Is it like a quintessential Jarvis and Smithers are the quintessential Butler's names?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, I only think of The Simpsons, right?
Right. But in the Archie comics, Veronica's family have a butler, and his name is Smithers.
How about that?
Yeah.
Oh, Smithers. Oh, Mr. Burns. And then so again, zooming in on her eyes and the
He's not getting treated. That's
no, there's a
that,
frown there.
that's the bottom line. Yeah.
Yes, yes, you may say so, Smithers. And then she thinks to herself, he's gone out crime fighting. And while a disappointed Sharon Carter contemplates a man whose love of danger seems as great as his love of her, let's look in on a man whose love of danger might be even greater, the freewheeling Falcon. And there we have on a nighttime rooftop. We can only assume in the
On Harlem.
in Harlem,
Yeah.
yes. And he is there, and who's that flying around?
That would be Red Wing. Ha!
Good work, Reddy. Your training's coming along fine. I'm beginning to believe what Professor X said about you and me having a special link. When was that, Bob?
That was back in issue 174.
Yes, and we covered that. That was the story of the Secret Empire. And the time has come to prove it. I'm not going to tell you what to do next. I'm going to think it. It's hard to escape a sense of silliness in this, but the Falcon tries hard. And suddenly,
Ska!
Red Wing flies down and picks up a hoop of some sort off the top of the roof. Holy crow! Or rather, holy hawk! Reddy, you did it. And then who's that coming in the next panel?
Well, it's Captain America.
What? Did what, Boyd man? Huh? Cap. No, it can't be. And it ain't. And he pulls off his mask. The real Captain America is still among the missing, Falcon. It's me, Roscoe. Coo coo coo. Just like I told you, I'm the new CA. Ah, there he goes with the CA
There he
again.
is.
I
Yes.
don't think it was a lack of space on this one, Bob. They
No,
had plenty of space to
it's
write out Captain
intentional.
America.
It's intentional. Yeah.
And just like I told you, kid, wearing that uniform isn't a game. You have to be able to do things like this. And he starts doing like somersaults and flips and things like that. And you usually got to do it in the middle of 16 dudes with bazookas. It takes skill and a cool head. Well, as Brian Wilson sang way back in 1964, Boyd Brain, I'm a real cool head. Watch me.
There it is. That's crazy.
Oh,
If you think about it, that's like 64. This came out in 75, right? I
well,
mean,
74, 74, yeah.
was it
Late,
74?
yeah, yeah. So
December-ish?
it's a decade later.
Yeah, decade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And he's referring to it as way back.
way back.
Way back. 10 years ago. It was
Yeah.
way back. I guess if you're like 22,
Yeah. So
10 years
that's
seems
neat.
like a long time ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got news for you. I don't listen to a whole lot of new music. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even when my kids were younger, right?
Yeah.
Like I grew up on classic rock. I
Yeah.
grew up on the stuff, and so I basically listen to the stuff that I like. Now, if the creators, performers that I like do new stuff, well
Yeah.
then I listen to their new stuff.
Yeah.
That's the new music. And occasionally, like I'll find some song or a
Yeah.
performer that I like, whatever. But to me, if something came out 10, 15 years ago, I still think of it as new music,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Right. I guess the older you get, though, I mean, that's, we
I've
got
been
that.
like that all my life, bro.
Has it? I was going to say, we've got kind of a sliding time scale now.
Yeah. No, I would say maybe not. All right, maybe the second half of my life, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just
Get your music off my lawn. Yeah, I got it.
all right. So Roscoe he puts the mask back on, and he decides to start doing some somersaults and hopping around. I've been working out for years, and since I was old enough to chin myself, and being a real Captain America is the most important. Woof! He lands on his butt. You were saying? Okay, okay. So I'm not perfect right off the bat. But that's not going to stop me, and neither is any smart talk from you. And by the way, I just want to tell our listeners I am not giving him this accent. It is written like this,
It is written verbatim. Yeah.
right? It they write perfect, Poifect.
Yeah.
So you have to pronounce it perfect. Look, kid, there was a scream. What the heck? And who is it, Bob?
It's Peggy and Gabe.
Now, who are they?
Well, Gabe is an old howling commando that now works for Shield, and Peggy is Peggy, Cap's old love from World War
Hmm,
II, and Sharon's sometimes older sister, and more recently her aunt.
right. I think in this story, still older sister, yeah.
Still
And
older
she also
sister.
works for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
Gabe, it's Cap. He's come back. No, Peggy. Don't you see that guy's younger than real Cap? He's another stand-in. It it's not Cap. This is something I didn't bargain for. This lady knew CA. Sorry, lady. You got the wrong guy. I better split. No sweat, Piggy. I can explain, I think. If somebody will explain it to me, why Gabe Jones is always around now. I have a sneaky suspicion.
Love is in the air.
Hmm. On the eastern shore of the United States, it has been the middle of the night, but in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, 8 time zones removed, it is late afternoon. The sun shines brightly here, its glare nearly hiding a silvery speck dropping swiftly down from the sky. And they're basically it's some sort of craft. I don't recognize it. Looks like something from the future, but it's probably something from Kang
Yeah, I
or
mean,
Krang.
it looks
Krang.
a little similar to Namor's craft.
Yeah, and they're landing down on the oil rig. Hey Chester, look at that. What do you suppose that is? I don't know, Joe. You don't think it has anything to do with the Serpent Squad, do you? You guessed her, Chester. Okay, Englehart. And coming out is the eel, and he zaps one of the guys.
Blap.
Back it up, little buddies. You got visitors, and visitors don't like their host to crowd them. And then we got Princess Python with her gigantic snake. We won't impose upon you over long, gentlemen. Once we've completed the job we came for, we'll leave you in peace. And in the meantime, we believe you'll be entertained. But if you interfere, the Serpent Squad will deal with you harshly. Do we make ourselves clear? Yeah, big man, very clear. But what do you want with us? This is nothing but a Roxxon drilling rig. Haven't you heard? The energy crisis isn't that serious anymore. It's not your oil we want, fools. We want the entire lost continent of Lemuria. We propose to use your equipment to return it to the surface. And if you heard our worldwide broadcast scant hours ago, you know your president is in agreement. And there he is, bringing the president of Roxxon out, still wearing the crown, on his knees. Our president's in a trance, looks to me. But you got us over a barrel, Blue Nose. You're calling the shots. For now. Forever, lackey. After today, the Serpent Squad will rule the world. Now you, Thrall, reset the controls of your drill as the crown commands you. The intelligence within has informed me that the oil Roxxon has found here comes from the sunken continent, and should the pumps be reversed to force oil and then water back into the fissures below the land, Lemuria shall break free of the sea bottom and rise to the surface again. And Roxxon president starts to change the device. Yes, I shall do as ordered. Ha ha! It warms my heart to see that capitalistic insect crawl for us, Krang. It warms my heart as well, dear lady, to contemplate the fate of those who now inhabit Lemuria. As water breathers, they will be forced to abandon their land when it surfaces, and all their secrets will be ours, with which to plunder the planet. The Serpent Squad will be the elite guard of the new order, so that, behold, already there is movement on the ocean floor. What do we see, Bob?
Looks like there's some sort of explosions coming from under the water and lots of bubbles.
But that's where it's going to end, Krang. And that voice is coming from off panel, and we turn the page, and it's Nomad swinging down, kicking Krang in the back, and also knocking down Viper.
Bam!
The Nomad's putting a stop to your schemes right now. One lone man against five of the world's most deadly villains? Strike, precious. And Bob. Sal uh, just drew something that comes from my nightmares.
That big old wide open gaping mouth snake.
Yeah,
Why'd it
That's
have to be snakes, Rick?
I hear you, Indy. Um, yeah, it's enough to swallow like Steve's head whole, right? Uh, you're right, Princess. I am alone, but it's at my request. See, I asked the submariner to wait in the car because this is where the Nomad proves himself. Precious, did he hurt you, Precious? And Eel thinks to himself, Cripes, this chick's is weird. Come on, Princess, don't just stand there. Yeah, step right up and see how your snake is. And he takes the gigantic python and uses it as a bat to knock the two of them back.
Whoop.
Blithering tyro, the world is already overcrowded with heroes. Newcomers must be discouraged permanently. And the viper and the cobra comes up and grabs Nomad from behind. Ah, my ribs. Don't you remember, Cobra? I told you last time. We've met before. I'm still not saying when, but you might remember I did this to you then. And he. How would you describe this move, these two panels, Bob?
I don't know. He's got so in the first panel, Cobra has got him in a bear hug from behind, right?
But
And
isn't is like a half Nelson or
no, I think he's just got his arms around his chest.
okay?
Yeah, and he's squeezing his ribs, trying to break his ribs, right? Um, but then it looks like maybe Steve has like reached back and punched the side of his ribs, and while he's doing that, he spins and gives him a left elbow right to the face.
Yes. Blam.
That's
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Blam.
You should have listened a minute ago when I told you I turned down an offer of help. I'm not about to be stopped. And he gives him a back fist.
Yeah, and it says plow, but that doesn't really capture the essence of he. It was much more of a bam.
He goes go flying. But Krang comes up and gives him a big right cross.
Yeah, that's a katow.
I listened and heard you mention the submariner. If you have brought him here, I shall kill you. Wise up, Krang. Namor was on to you long before he met me. But he said I could have you. And he gives him a right punch.
Slam.
You may be warlord in Atlantis, but you're only a crook up here. And that makes you fair game for the Nomad. We shall see. I'm surprised punching that glass dome doesn't like break it.
I know, right? Yeah.
Turn the page, and suddenly there's like firing coming from the sky.
Kataka, taka, 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 taka.
Machine gun fire from above. Reinforcements, eh? If so, they're yours, not mine. I don't recognize that craft, and it's a helicopter.
Taka, pang.
They're shooting at everybody. Take cover. This may mean our capture or our salvation, but I fear it's the former. Above all else, then, I must ensure that the serpent crown remains inviolate. Here, Viper, you were closest to our escape craft. Use it. Save the serpents. And he throws the crown to her, and she's getting on the craft. I shall, Krang. I shall. Remember my words, Nomad. The spell of the serpent shall yet enslave the world. Death to all who oppose us. Send them a letter, woman. The others are pinned down. So it's only you and I who can flee to fight another day. And he gets into the, I don't know what you call it, jet, craft, whatever, and they
Yeah.
fly away. Yes, Cobra, another day, soon. And watching all this coming out of the water, his head is Namor. Below, the patiently waiting Prince Namor watches the ship vanish into the east, but decides to do nothing. Nomad has bidden him wait, and it is not his enemies who are escaping. We get to the last page. Yet Krang is going nowhere except to oblivion, and Nomad gives him a left cross.
Blam.
But the question remains, who are these late arrivals? And how would you describe what they're wearing, Bob? These guys coming out of the helicopter.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're all in lime green jumpsuits, but the jumpsuits are connected to what looks to be some sort of helmet that looks ridiculous on them. It's hard to look
Mm-hmm.
cool, and we see one guy smoking a cigarette because the helmet extends a good 8 inches above the top of their head. So it's definitely a weird look.
Maybe they're just happy to see you.
Happy to see Mr. Executive.
Are you all right, sir? Yes, yes. Fine. Now that I'm free of that accursed crown, I've shut off the pump. Lemuria will not rise. What do you mean, sir? You'll have to explain that one to me, too. Neither Namor nor I ever fully understood what the Serpent Squad's goal was here today. Still and all, I thank you people for your timely assistance. Unnecessary. It's a job. A man like the president of Roxxon, involved with men and governments all across the world, needs a personal task force to ensure his safety, and I see that his plans are carried out. We've been turning that planet upside down since he made his broadcast, and frankly, we didn't need your help. And he just kind of turns away from Nomad and starts to light a cigarette, dismissing him. But Steve gets a little hot under the collar. Didn't need? That's the thanks I get for running halfway around the world to break up a plot I didn't even understand? And he comes over and he punches the guy.
Kapow!
Lord, it makes me wonder why I bothered to come back at all. But I have come back, and I'm still going to play things my own way. The Nomad will go on. And he clenches his fists in anger. Ah, but if we may be allowed a subtle hint, there are forces at work even now which may end the Nomad's career before it's barely begun. Don't miss next issue, Inferno. And don't miss Nomad's guest appearance in the Avengers this month either. Enough said. The end.
Right. Hey, that was pretty good.
Anytime you can get a story with two men with that kind of neckline,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know? All right, Bob. So, what are your thoughts on how this whole Steve as Nomad story is progressing?
All right. Well, it's getting there. I mean, I thought this was an interesting, story because it had Namor, right? And Namor is an old friend of Cap, but he hadn't seen him in quite some time, and so I thought it was interesting that Steve had to sort of, you know, give up the secret and reveal his identity to Namor because he couldn't beat him toe to toe.
Mm-hmm.
But fun to see them working together here, and a couple. It's a comic, right? So there's some
Mm-hmm.
features in this story that are puzzling to me. For example, like why did they have to get the executive to fly all the CEO to fly all the way to the oil rig to turn the wheel? I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know, but it's a comic, right?
Maybe because they needed a hostage when they got there, so that the teams there
Yeah,
would be like, okay, we're gonna leave you alone to do what you need to do because you got a hostage who's the president.
right, right. Yeah. Yeah, okay. It's believable, plausible, right? But it's a good story, right? Fun story, moved along quickly, fast paced. We got to see we got to see Falcon, we got to see Roscoe.
Coo coo coo.
Yep, and we're setting up now for the next installment, Inferno. So,
Yeah,
you know,
good
things
stuff.
are heating up.
Fun stuff. All right,
Yeah.
I go first. You went first last time,
Okay.
so my favorite panel. I'm gonna go with the opening splash page.
Ooh, excellent choice.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I love seeing Steve admiring the Lincoln Memorial, but more importantly, I love the quote from Lincoln.
Yeah, I mean it's timeless, right?
It is timeless,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
the quote that stuck with me was, "Accustomed to trample on the rights of others, You have lost the genius of your own independence and become fit subjects of the first cunning tyrant who rises among you. It just spoke to me, Bob.
Yeah, I'm sure it did, right? It's timeless, right? We got to be
Mm-hmm.
constantly vigilant, and if anybody knows that, it's certainly Steve Rogers.
Yep. What's your favorite panel?
Well, I gotta go. It's around page 10 again. I'm working off my omnibus, and it's that panel that we spent a little bit of time on, and it's the close up of Sharon's face after she shows up at her
Mm.
parents' house and finds that Steve Rogers is not there.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has gone off to do some crime fighting. And I love this panel because it is a close up on her eyes and her nose, and you can see that she is PO'd,
Mm-hmm.
pardon my French. And it's
Yeah.
just really well drawn with a lot of emotion. I love that.
Especially when you look at you could contrast it to the panel right above it.
Right, right,
Right? I mean,
yeah,
she looks like talk about Betty and Veronica. She looks like he's out of an Archie
yeah,
comic, with her,
yeah,
hey, how you doing? And all of a sudden, and then you look at this, and yeah, I didn't even notice. I mean, I noticed, but I didn't put words to it about the nostrils flaring because
yeah,
it's very subtle. But
yes,
I think subconsciously I could tell.
yeah, yeah. We've all seen this look.
Yeah. Well, God help you if you have.
Right.
All right,
Uh,
Bob, what's going on a t-shirt?
all right. Well, definitely. I'm going on the last page, bottom left panel, and it's
Mm.
that sort of facial expression on Nomad where he's saying, didn't need, that's the thanks I get for running halfway around the world to break up a plot I didn't even understand. I'm thinking I'd love that on a t shirt. I don't have a Nomad t shirt, and that's a great quote to go with it.
It really is.
How many of
Uh
us, it happens to me all the time, Rick, you know?
yeah.
So,
Well, I no, I you know what stood out to me about that panel and especially the next one where he punches the guy. That's not Steve Rogers. Like you know, he, that's not the Steve Rogers I know and love.
yeah.
Like he wouldn't just go punch a guy because he didn't like the guy's attitude.
Well, that's true.
I
Yeah.
mean, it was
Yeah.
totally out of character, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's coming down from an adrenaline high.
I guess, but hasn't he done that a million times?
True. True. And how about yourself? What are you thinking about slapping on a shirt?
Oh, well, Bob, you're not going to be surprised when I tell you.
Okay.
It is page 7, the one where it has Krang and the gang.
Krang and the gang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last panel, the close up of Viper's face, where the hair's
Oh,
covering her right
yeah.
eye.
Yep.
And not only do I want a Viper t shirt, number one. Number two, I love that it says, "You were wrong, Mr. Executive. I am the hardest person you'll ever encounter."
You could wear that to work.
I want, I want
Yeah,
that on my
casual
shirt.
Friday or something.
Yeah. So someone comes up and looks at me and like, yeah, I'm the hardest person you're ever gonna encounter.
Right. Yeah. All right. I love that. I love it. And how about your time capsule?
Emphasis on the word time.
Huh?
I love how you put the emphasis on the word time, not capsule.
Fair enough. Fair
They're your
enough.
time capsule. I'm gonna go with page 22,
All right.
and I'm gonna go with panel 5. I mean, there were so many in here things to choose from, and like you have the
Mm,
you
sure.
have the phone booth, you
Ooh,
have
yeah, yeah. Phone
um,
booth's
the
good.
first time that Roscoe is Captain America,
That's true. First time he
right?
slaps on the uniform.
But I'm going to go with the one where they says, "Haven't you heard the energy crisis isn't that
Ah,
serious anymore?"
nice.
Because it is late '74,
Yep,
and we were going through an energy crisis at the time,
indeed. Oil
and
OPEC embargo.
yeah, and so I think this one points specifically to a time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, the first time. right? I think
Oh yeah, yeah,
that's the funny part about it is he
yeah,
says, "Haven't you heard the energy crisis isn't that serious anymore?" And
yeah.
indeed, it
Give it a
was.
couple years. Give it a
Yeah,
couple
you're
years.
right. It was the first one after the Yom Kippur War and the OPEC oil embargo, and then 5 years later we had the Iranian Revolution, and that was another energy crisis. And we had a series of them since then. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, that was the first big one. So I could see where they're
Yeah,
like, yeah, no problem, it's over now.
yeah.
Good,
How about you,
good,
Bob? What's
good.
going in your time? Oh, hold on. What's going in your time capsule?
Well, it's funny because you mentioned the payphone, but I didn't get hung up on the payphone. I got
I
hung up.
saw what you did there. Hung up.
I got hung up on the voice print because it got me thinking. I'm like, oh my God, did they have voice print identification, authentication back in 1974? Turns out they didn't, Rick. They didn't. But I thought it was cool. And I wondered if like this is one of the earliest references in comics to voice print authentication. Because while that technology was theorized back in the 60s, it didn't really become like even viable, like even demonstrated until the 90s. And it's only been within the last few years, like maybe a decade, that it's actually been a real thing. So when Steve Rogers gets on the phone and he does his authenticate voice print authentication, no such thing existed for another 30, 40 years.
Hmm.
And that was well ahead of its time. And I thought, well, maybe this is one of the first. I don't know if it is, but I got really interested in I'm going to start looking that up because I'm curious that this might be one of the first times that
So,
technology
what's
was
going in
mentioned.
your time capsule
That's
then?
what's going in my time capsule.
The science fiction is going in your time
Yeah,
capsule. It
one
has
of the
nothing to
first.
do with the time period that
That's what I'm
is.
going with. That
Uh,
Shield used voice print authentication, and this might be the first time it's mentioned. That's what I'm going with.
all right.
Yeah,
I mean, usually we pick something that has to do with that time period, but you're
yeah.
going with something that's science fiction.
That's exactly what I'm going with because I think it might be the first time it's mentioned.
You don't know that though.
I don't know that.
You're just pulling that out of your
I
butt.
am. I
Yeah.
am. I
All
am. I
right.
could go with a payphone, but who wants to go with a payphone when you can go with something sexy like voice print authentication?
That's true.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right.
Banks use that now.
Do they?
Yeah. You can set that up on your account and log into your account with voice print authentication if you're a Wells
Hmm.
Fargo customer.
Well, that's probably better to do than like a thumbprint because someone could do that after you're dead,
Oh,
right? But they
right.
can't do that with your voice.
Yeah, I've seen so many Mission Impossible movies. Easy to like lift somebody's fingerprint and then make a
Yeah.
latex mold, and
Mm-hmm.
anybody can do that.
Yeah. I'm one of those old-fashioned guys that refuses to have my bank. I refuse to have my a bank app on my phone because I'm
Mm,
like, what if someone steals my phone and then they have access to my bank? I'm like,
yeah.
well, there's dual identification,
Right.
authentication. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure, they have access to that too. So they get a text on the phone they stole, and they're
Right.
like, oh, let me
Oh,
authenticate,
yeah.
right? Or an email
Right.
they stole on my phone. You know what I mean? So I
Well,
don't know.
I guess that's one way to deal with it, Rick. My security protocol is I don't even have access to my bank account. My wife does that. So problem solved.
There you go. Good for you.
That's my level. That's
Mm.
my security layer.
Yeah.
So.
I say good for you, but good for Casey. All right, Bob. Any other final comments before we wrap things up?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, Rick.
All right.
Fun as always.
Yes. As always, definitely fun wrapping cap. And listeners, if you don't mind, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. And if you want to send in a question, you can always email us at capcomicfans@gmail.com. You know what? I Bob, it has been a year, I think, since we've gotten a 5-star review on Apple. We haven't really pushed that too much. But hey, if you're listening on Apple right now,
Mm-hmm.
and you haven't given us a review, we really would appreciate that.
Yeah.
As well as any comments on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook group. We always love those. So, as always, we thank you for listening to another episode of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast. You want to do this one, Bob?
Sure. This is Warlord Krang of the
Oh, wait a
Serpent.
minute.
Oh, no, that's
Oh.
you.